Welcome, everybody, to another thrilling, exciting, ear-tickling episode of HomeKit Insider. You've got me, Andrew O'Hara, and here for, was it the 15th, 20th time you've been here? It's Jennifer Tuohy from The Verge.
Hello. I think it's my second time, but, you know.
Second time? Okay.
We're like old friends.
It just feels, it feels like it's been 15 or 20. Close enough.
I'm excited to be here. I'm sorry that Andrew's not here to serenade us, though, because I did love the Les Mis bit from last week. That was super fun.
Well, Steven
is not here to serenade us.
Yeah,
sorry.
well, I believe you prepared a song yourself, though, right? You promised you were going to sing?
No.
Yeah. No?
Yeah, that's not my thing, sadly. We'll save that for Steven.
Okay. Well, I'll make Steven sing another song when he gets back. But before we get into the news today, we're going to start off with a couple more 5-star reviews. We've got, now let me make sure I can pronounce this one correctly, PODC45TL15T3NER, which I think is podcast listener from the USA. With just a bunch
look at that. That's really clever.
Yeah. Very clever, PODC45TL15T3N3R. Very clever. We've also got Mark Vuck from Great Britain.
Woohoo.
Said he recently discovered it, went back and binged all the episodes, which I love, because there's now been 116. This is the 117th episode of this show.
Wow, that's great.
Which is kind of crazy. Yeah. So, I guess the first thing in the news, we have that new Leviton Fan Speed Controller, which is sorely needed in the HomeKit space. I mean, how many other fan controllers are there? I mean...
Well, there's Lutron. If you the Caseta.
Yeah, I think they got the one.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think you're right. There aren't many options.
End of list. End of list.
I feel like there's another one, but maybe it was. Well, Leviton had one before, so this is like the second generation.
Yes, this is their new updated Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so there was Leviton was the other option, and yeah, this is. Fan controllers are tricky, though. I mean, I did the whole smart fan thing in my house, various different types, because I tested them all. And if you have a smart fan, you don't want a smart controller, because it's like the whole lighting situation poor Steven got into. You know, it's not an easy scenario. So don't, if you went and bought a smart fan, you don't need a smart controller. You just want to have a regular controller, right? Isn't that, because that's what happened to me, and my electrician said, yeah, if you flip this switch, your fan now won't work. So it's like the light bulb issue.
And then you have and then you get the ones that are half smart. It's like, hey, you can control the lights from like your phone, but not
you can't control
fan.
It from the yeah. It is a space that definitely needs
a whole mess.
I really love the Bond Bridge controller, which is great for ceiling fans. That's I find that's the way to go, honestly. But if you're doing a brand new install in your house, like Steven's been doing, and you just put in all regular ceiling fans, then having a smart switch controller like this, and if you're going with the Leviton, obviously the nice thing about this, they're adding this to their lineup, the upgraded version, so it is possible with Leviton or Lutron to like put everything from one company, one manufacturer in your home, which I think for switches is really the way to go. I'm not a smart home, purist. I'm not like you need to stick with one brand and one ecosystem. But when it comes to the switches you put in your walls, I feel like that is a space you kind of want to stick with one, because it just makes it easier for the rest of your household to use. And it looks nice because there's a clean aesthetic.
Yes, it's more consistent. And then you have with switches, it seems like it's always a muscle memory thing when you turn on a switch. So we've got all the switches in the house that are like up and down, like your standard toggles. And we walk into our bedroom that has one of the Lutron auras on there that you can rotate and you press and stuff.
One. Yeah.
So my lovely wife will just walk right into that bedroom, throw her hand up on the wall, and send that aurora all the way across the room, just flipping the switch like it's... like she would normally do.
And it comes off really easily.
It does. Even if you tighten it down, it still comes off really easily.
The one thing I would like to have seen with this, and I haven't done a thorough look at the specs yet, but is motion sensing. So I actually tested the big ass fan, which is a smart fan, and it has a motion sensor in it. And I find that excellent for fans, like even better than for lighting, because, you know, the fan just turns on when there's someone is underneath it. And if they're, and it's a little tricky with a light switch, because obviously your light switch isn't going to necessarily be near your fan, but I really like that feature for a fan, because little known fact, ceiling fans cool people, not rooms. So if you're just running a ceiling fan, there's no one in there, you're just wasting energy. You really only want it to run if there's someone sitting underneath it. And, you know, I live in the South, so I'm a ceiling fan expert. It's like required in these houses. And, you know, I've gone through the gamut of like super old ones, super new ones, fancy ones. And I really love that feature of the big ass fan, is that it has the motion sensor inside the fan. And so when you're sitting under it, it turns on. And when you're not there, it turns off. I don't know how they could really fix this into a light switch, but it would be a nice feature if you could have that. Because I know they have motion sensing in some of their new switches, don't they?
They do. The big downside for me, and this is the problem with a lot of these switches, is that it takes up that whole box. But a lot of homes that have a fan with lights in there, they take up the space of like a single switch. So there'll be like two buttons or like two paddles on, you know, a single switch, and then you put this in, and then you can't control your lights, or you have to expand your light switch out to be a double gang box or whatever.
Yeah, so one for each.
That's always a problem.
Yeah, it's definitely an area that's ripe for some innovation.
I know, and the one that I liked that never came to fruition, I don't think, was from iDevices. They had a really good looking one that they announced with much fanfare at a random CES, and then they got like acquired, I believe, like by like maybe a fan company or something, and then the Switch never came out. So that was a disappointment, because that was coming to HomeKit. But
maybe there's a way with a motion sensor connected to the light switch, you could automate your fan that way. That would be kind of neat.
Yeah, like tuck the new Eve motion sensor.
Yeah, like
right up in the middle between the ball. Yeah. There we go.
I'll give that a try and report back.
Perfect. Expect that coverage on the second best tech website out there, The Verge.
I'm saying
nothing. The other thing, the next piece of news that we've got is there's a new air purifier out. This is the SmartMe Air Purifier P2. So this works with all of the usual suspects. You got HomeKit, Google Home, Amazon's lady friend, and the SmartMe Link app, if you want to go that way as well. But what is neat about this one, have you seen this one at all, Jennifer?
No, I've not really got into air purifiers, but I've heard you guys talk about them a lot, and I have one, but it's not smart. I have like a Conway. It's great, but yeah, we got it because I was hoping it would help with my husband's allergies, and you know, it doesn't, but maybe this would. And how do you use your air purifiers with HomeKit? What's the main advantage of having it connected, do you find?
There's a couple things, but the biggest thing for me has been ramping it up when I'm not there, because I don't want it running on all the time. I'm doing audio stuff in here. It'll sometimes like frighten the animals or something, but I don't want a huge fan running like all the time. But we do have a lot of animals in the house: 3 bunnies, 2 cats, 2 dogs, my wife and I, soon to be a child. So there's like plenty of like, you know, stuff going on, and we're trying not to be the smelly house, right? So we do have purifiers just for the dander and the dust that gets in the air. Some of them that have like the sterilization or the other filters that are supposed to help reduce like smells in the home. But I just don't want them on like some of them on like high all the time. So I'll just like leave the house, and it'll be part of my like leaving scene that it'll ramp up a couple of the air purifiers to get some good cleaning going when I'm gone, and then turn back down when I get home. The other one is when there is like smoke detected in like the kitchen, because sometimes it can be even just like a little bit, turn these on. Like they'll be kind of even in like the, you know, big open floor plan type thing, and it'll be kind of in the other part of the room, but there'll be something in the kitchen, air quality detector can detect something, kick on the fan or the air purifier just to help move that smoke around faster and clear things out if anything ever burns.
Yeah, I think, well, but now the one I have, when it like self-detects, so like when the levels come up, it just kicks on itself. But yeah, we do leave it
Some
on like
do, but it's
non-stop.
like behind.
So this way you can
it'll
kind
do
of
that, but it'll be like,
get ahead of the curve.
yeah,
I like that.
yes.
You know, we've never had
Especially
this
for those
conversation.
bigger rooms like that.
We've never had this conversation, but I think we have the same types of animals. I have 1 bunny, 2 dogs, 1 cat, and 7 chickens. I know you have chickens.
Look at that.
I know, and I really
pretty much spot on.
I want to pick your brains on smart chicken coop stuff because we're about to rebuild ours, and I can't wait to do some smart stuff.
I know, and I'm super curious at what you come up with.
The only thing I've got is the fan.
Thing.
I have a fan. I have a smart fan for my chickens.
Okay.
But that's as far as I've got. And cameras, obviously, and lots of like late night footage of raccoons trying to get into the coop.
Sure. Ours is like right on the outskirts of camera range. It still fits with the Arlos, but just on the outskirts of that range where occasionally I'll have issues with stuff loading, but they're pretty good. It's pretty far out in the yard.
I have that issue too, and when I tested the Arlo Go, I put it out and there to kind of, the furthest part of the yard, and that was great. That's something we really need in the smart home is, I know this is not the right platform for this, but the sidewalk network with Amazon and, those types of low WAN services. I feel like we need that because we have a smart home, but the smart garden and the smart yard is still really struggling. It's hard to get connectivity out there. And so, but I have a Lutron Caseta smart outdoor plug that kicks off the fan and it works. It's rock solid all the way out there. And there's nothing in between. Yeah. I know there's no it's not like a thread. There's nothing that's sort of bouncing the signal out there. It's rock solid. I tried others and nothing else would pick up a signal. So that one is, and it's also like that thing I think only a tank could destroy it. It's like big and it works reliably through HomeKit too. So I just sort of in the morning I'll look out and I'll just be like, turn on the chicken fan.
Well, continuing to push us off topic, here is we got several new babies in our coop. Okay. Look, if she's trying to load, come on camera. There she is.
Oh my goodness, look at those eyebrows.
Yep.
Those are fantastic.
She has got a plume on her. She looks ridiculous. We love it.
What is she?
But yeah.
What kind of, what breed is she?
I don't know, but my mother-in-law, she goes down to Amish country pretty much weekly, and she sat down with some of the Amish folk and described this chicken, and they pulled out a giant book of chicken breeds, and they narrowed it down to some variety of Pollock chicken.
Okay.
So I
so
couldn't
you have
say
like
exactly
a mix?
which one, but yes, we do a little bit of a mix. We have mostly Americanas. Decent mid-sized bird. They lay roughly every day, 5-6 eggs a week, and they're nice and friendly. And then we added a few additional ones in there, a couple new bantams that are a little bit smaller, and then some just fun ones that we're trying to go for a silky. And it was a little bit of a question mark there. But yeah, so it'll be interesting to see as they're losing their baby feathers and they're starting to look like, the bigger chickens as they're kind of getting through this pullet stage. So we'll see as they get older what they all end up looking like.
Oh, I love the baby chicks. There's so much work though. They're so much easier now. Speaking of work,
we just stuck
babies.
them under the mom.
Yes. That's good. Yeah, someone else can do the work.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, it's a whole thing. But back to the P2.
Sorry.
The P2.
Cordless.
This is
it's cordless. That's neat. I like the cordless part. Okay, that
absolutely.
I can see some use
it's launching. I think they say September 15th this is going to be launching, and it's battery powered, so completely cordless. You can run it around your home. You don't have to plug it in. I like that a lot.
Yeah,
I think that's really useful. There's not. I don't even know if there's. I mean, I feel like I should be the expert with knowing purifiers because I have 1,000 in this house, but I don't know if there's any that are battery powered that have worked with HomeKit yet. So I think that's really
That's a
cool. We just had a
first.
thread-enabled one. Now we've got a wireless power or cordless one. Really cool. So
Yeah.
this will be coming out
But this one doesn't
mid-September.
have thread then, because no.
Correct. I think
Okay.
it's Wi-Fi.
Just Wi-Fi.
I want to say it's Wi-Fi. Yes. Trying to look through limited specs yet because we're still
Still
a
waiting.
few weeks away from launch. Yeah. So we'll have more specs. We'll have a review around launch time. So it'll be launch time, not lunchtime. Launch with an A. But yeah. Let's see what else we got in the news.
Well, and there's that. I don't know, see this on your list, but speaking of smart me, I don't know. I get confused by all the different me companies. But there's that. Aqara has that amazing, funky looking light switch that, did you see that yesterday or a day before?
Probably not. I was gone. I was out of town.
Oh, you were? Okay. So I just got them to send me some pictures, so I'll send them to you so you can. But so it was one of the other HomeKit blogs. Sorry, reported on it, and it's a panel light switch. It's only in mainland China, but they said there maybe something might be coming to the EU and maybe the US at some point. It's a panel light switch, and it has, I think, 8 sort of programmable LED panels, so you can change the look of the light switch. And some of the pictures, there's like yellows and reds and pinks, and it would look really fun, like in a nursery or kids room. And then you can also do like just really nice muted colors like gray and black, so it looks really sleek and elegant. And they're programmable buttons. It's a light switch, so it's hardwired. Now it needs a neutral. It controls your lights, but it also has programmable HomeKit buttons, or buttons that you can program to any smart home system, including HomeKit. So it's like a scene controller, but that you can label. And I've been testing a lot of scene controllers recently. I did the Stage, the Wemo Stage, and then the new Hue Tap Dial. And my issue is I can never remember what I programmed each button for. And, in the high-end systems, they'll have little labels that they make for them. And even Leviton, I think with their new switch, their new scene controller, you can order little labels for the switch. So it can say like movie time or good morning, so you can remember. Whereas this one, you can actually program the little labels and little icons onto the panel, so you can see what you're pressing. I just think it would be really neat. It's not coming yet to the US, but one day, maybe, if there's enough. Did you find it?
I can send you the link.
Because then
I just sent you a picture
convention
on Twitter.
Brilliant.
Yeah, because they had the S1. The S1's out. It's roughly $90 that you can find on like AliExpress and some of the others. And then we did talk, if this is the same one, we talked last week about the S1E on last week's episode.
Yes, this is it. Look at it. Look at the little kitty.
I know.
It's so cool. I want one of these so much.
Yes,
but yeah, all those different buttons you can program to anything you want. And I just think it'll be really neat. But if it came to the US, it would probably have a slightly different form factor, because that kind of panel size is more for the rest of the world. But yeah, so I think they said that the launch, this just appeared, so it's not available to buy yet. But if you're in China, it will be coming soon.
I think they're so cool. I love my Brilliant ones, but that's a whole other road to go down. I just other feel like bit of news, we're saying...
Okay.
No, go ahead.
No, you're right. We need to move on. I keep derailing us. I'm sorry, Stephen. I'm sorry, Andrew.
He's going to tisk us so much. He's like, you're supposed to get through the news.
Okay.
In the first quarter of the show.
More news. This was my news, right?
There's a new...
No.
This is, the SwitchBot Door Lock. Is that the one? Because we kind of threw that in.
You did,
which
yes.
You also have some information on.
Well, I'm testing it right now. Review to come very shortly.
Yeah.
In fact, the review may be live before this podcast is live. So good plug. But yes, it is.
You're welcome.
It is not HomeKit, but it does work with Siri shortcuts. But this is so if you're familiar with SwitchBot, I know you guys talk about it quite a lot. It's kind of a quirky solution for the smart home.
It's
little
weird.
robot
it's
buttons.
Weird looking.
Well, and their entire line is slightly odd like this. It uses little buttons and robot fingers. And this is basically a robot hand for your door. And what's so unique about it is you do not need to use any screwing, drilling, any removal of adjustment to your existing door lock. You just literally stick this on the back of your existing door lock. It has a sticker. There's no there's no screws, there's nothing except for very strong, and it hasn't fallen off yet, 3M tape. And it grabs your thumb turn and turns it, and it's been working good. Hasn't fallen off. And I'm still testing, so I'm not necessarily ready to say whether I fully recommend it. But it's definitely a unique solution, and one, if you really don't want to mess with your existing door lock, but you want a smart door lock, it will fit that bill. And they have a keypad that you can buy that goes with it that has a fingerprint reader. And I am a strong proponent of fingerprint readers for door locks. I think they make life so much easier. It also has an NFC capability with a card, but no capability with the Apple key at the moment. It does work with the Apple Watch though. So it has a SwitchBot app on your Apple Watch that connects via Bluetooth when you get up to the door. And so you can just tap your watch to open it, but it's no auto opening or anything like that, because the lock itself is entirely Bluetooth, unless you buy one of the little hubs, the SwitchBot hub, which if you have any SwitchBot devices, you really need one of those little hubs to get you connection with smart home connect that, and also to add Siri shortcuts, which it works with, but I can't ever get those to work. So Andrew and we were talking about this before, but I asked, you should be able to lock and unlock it using Siri shortcuts, but whenever I ask it to, then Siri just wants to unlock any of my HomeKit enabled door locks. I don't know if this is just a smart home reviewer problem, because who has 7 door locks? But I'm going to keep trying.
Well, I think we talked about that slightly before, because per usual, we're getting ready to record, and then we chit chat for 20 minutes about things, and we needed to start the show, and we talked about that briefly. And I think the biggest thing, I would change your opening door command. Instead of saying unlock the SwitchBot or something like that, I feel like Siri is hearing the HomeKit part or the unlock part and then goes to the smart home. But if you change it to open sesame or something like that,
then
it's going to trigger the actual shortcut versus thinking it's a HomeKit command. I have a similar one where I'll be turn on the studio light, turn on the studio lights, plural. It's the studio light, singular, is already on. But I didn't say that. I meant the room, the studio, the lights in that room. And I have to phrase it turn on the lights in the studio to make it understand. Some of those things just gets tripped up by.
Yeah. Although open is another command for so many HomeKit things. I might have to come up with something really roll back the door lock or something. Something that just doesn't exist in the smart home, that's completely unintuitive, which will be really useful. But I'll let you know how it goes.
Okay, perfect.
But it's a neat idea. I'm impressed. It's much sturdier than I thought it would be. I mean, if you've seen the pictures, you kind of go, ooh, what is that? But it worked. It works well.
That is good. Oh, okay. Let's see.
So now the other news, we've got my news.
You did talk about.
So the MyQ, the garage door controller. So this has always been such a confusing space. I see in forums and such, how do I connect my MyQ to HomeKit? How do I connect my MyQ to other smart home systems? It's always been a sort of a struggle because MyQ's system is quite closed. But they did come up with this great solution for HomeKit users. This $70 extra hub that you needed to put in between your MyQ garage door controller and your Wi-Fi router, somewhere in between, and it helps connect to HomeKit. And I've had one since it came out, and it worked pretty reliably for me. I've seen a number of reports on user forums of people having a lot of trouble with it, but they've finally decided to cancel it. They're no longer making it. So there's no longer going to be a native way to put your MyQ garage door controller into your HomeKit home. It's not going away in terms of functionality. So if you already own one, it will still keep working with HomeKit for the foreseeable future. And I don't really see how Chamberlain could make it stop working, honestly, just the way that HomeKit is set up. It should keep working.
That's the goal. Yeah. Keep everything local. If the company goes under, it's still going to work, unlike a lot of the other smart home standards.
But the thing that I thought was interesting is that when I asked them why, they decided to discontinue. They said that the MyQ HomeKit integration through this specific HomeBridge device was used by less than 1% of their millions of users. And for those that don't know, Chamberlain owns LiftMaster and Craftsman, and like basically owns most of the garage door controller market in the US, like over 65% of the market. So it's a big swath of people that use their garage door controllers, and all of their garage door controllers are now Wi-Fi integrated. I think it's like TVs. You can't even buy one that doesn't have the MyQ technology in it anymore. So it was interesting. I don't know whether that's because there's such a small percentage of people using HomeKit, or whether it was because it was so expensive, or whether because it was frustrating and very difficult to use at times. But have you had much experience with it? Do you have smart garage door controllers?
So where we live now, we don't have a garage, but I did have this at our home in Dublin, and yeah, it was great. You would arrive home, it'd show up on CarPlay, you tap at your garage door open. All of like the useful functionality was there and was perfect. I had the biggest issues during the setup. Like it was a little bit further from our house, and we had like some spotty Wi-Fi stuff. So I ended up having to get like an extra extender, and it had to go open like the upstairs window to make sure it could like reach the garage. And then there was like this whole thing like during setup that had like failed. It was so much so, Jennifer, that they actually Chamberlain had to send people to my house to help me get everything like situated properly during the setup, because it was very confusing the way that this would connect to the MyQ thing, and the naming thing was still really weird between like the MyQ and like the HomeKit MyQ extra piece that you needed. And yeah, you needed a whole like $80 extra box that looked almost the same to go next to the other one that enabled the Wi-Fi. If you have any of the new ones with it built in, that's great. But yeah, it was weird if you had like the older ones. I think it's like, okay, the people who are buying them now is a fairly small subset. Like who is buying a new like actual garage door motor super frequently, unless you're doing, new builds or something like that. So it's like, okay, the people who have it built in might be rather small, that would just need to buy one extra box. But for everyone else, you had to buy the Wi-Fi MyQ thing plus the HomeKit one.
The bridge.
I think it adds up. Yeah, that bridge thing, and it would get kind of complicated. And then you have the other ones that are from Maris and other ones that were already out there that were kind of universal and seemed pretty easy to do. We covered it like not technically like 2 episodes ago, and if anyone wants to go back to that one, we threw out several other options for HomeKit garage door openers if you guys need one. And now that the MyQ one is gone, so you can go get those. At that point, it was like basically a rumor because Chamberlain had not confirmed anything. We couldn't get them to confirm or deny. It was dead, but the product was gone. Support reps are like, "Yo, yeah, I don't think that's around anymore," but like nothing conclusive. So we did throw out some other options. There are others, but it is a disappointment. Anytime a HomeKit thing disappears like that.
Yeah, and with the other options, if you have a Chamberlain garage door opener that's newer than 2011, you're going to have to use the kind of workaround where you have to wire it into a remote rather than into the back of the garage door opener, which is doable, but it's just sad that you have to do that. But that's MyQ's issue. That's not that's not Miros, or Tailwind is the other one that works with HomeKit, and they're very good. I really love their product. Super reliable. So yeah, there are other options. You're not out of luck. And then there are back end ways like HomeBridge and such. You can connect if you have a MyQ and you hadn't bought a HomeBridge and you're just about to start to think about connecting it to HomeKit. You're not completely out of luck. And who knows what Matter will bring? I mean, garage door controllers are in the Matter spec. So
for V1.
Yeah. So my Q's history of openness with other platforms is not a great one. So, but they are part of the CSA. I did ask them directly about Matter integration, and they did not answer. So we will just wait and see.
Yeah. Okay, last bit of news here, which is really just a backdoor for us to talk about whatever else that we want. But we've mentioned it for on the show like 3 or 4 weeks in a row. The new Wemo Smart Dimmer. I've been testing it. I don't know if Jennifer's got one to play around with, but these do support Thread, right? So they're Thread enabled. But it's kind of figured out after the fact, they will not be supporting Matter with this product, though they are supporting it with the other. So we don't have to go into a whole Matter thing, because I know Steven and I rant and rave about it a lot. But I want to get your thoughts on how much it really mattered for HomeKit users if it did or didn't support Matter, and then we can just see where it goes until we're out of time.
Okay. So for HomeKit users, it doesn't matter, because if you're planning on sticking with HomeKit, this works with HomeKit and it has Thread. So you're golden. It just is an odd move to make, to not include Matter support. And I'm intrigued as to why they didn't. And I'm still trying to get to the bottom of it, because we've had this happen to a couple products now. There was the Nanoleaf Essential Light Bulbs that obviously they've been around a bit longer, and there's been a bit more change in the industry since they first launched. But I just don't, we were kind of given this promise that, if something had Thread in, it was going to be able to work with Matter. And now we're starting to see products come out that for some reason don't. Is it the manufacturer? Is it something that Thread's changed? Is it something that Matter's changed? So it's just a bit of a cautionary tale at this stage, that if you were planning on going all in on Thread because you assume it's all going to work with Matter, don't make that assumption. Double check first. But if you are in HomeKit, and I think I said this when I wrote my article about this, and you are planning on staying in HomeKit, then it isn't going to affect you that they don't have a Matter version. And they do sell this, to be fair to Wemo, to Belkin, they make this very clear. This switch is for HomeKit. It is a HomeKit switch. It is an Apple HomeKit switch. So it's not like there's any false advertising going on here. So you just, the promise of Matter is you're being able to move all your devices to a different platform if you want. So if you are ever thinking that you might want to jump ship, then at some point in the future, then I wouldn't invest in this switch. I haven't tested it myself. I do have one somewhere. What's it like? Do you like it? I've heard some not so great feedback from some readers so far, but what do you think?
I've been playing around with it. I think it's fine. I haven't had any issues with it. It is more of like a stepping, tier as you're kind of adjusting the brightness and such. But it's a good dimmer switch. For me, a lot of my switches are Wi-Fi, so I was never like, I need the Thread in my switch. There's ones that are like the Eve that I actually would prefer be Thread, because I'm pretty sure it's still a Bluetooth one.
Bluetooth,
and
yeah.
in that case, yeah, Thread
and
would be much better.
They've said they're bringing out a Thread one, haven't they?
Yes, they basically said every product will be Thread sooner rather than later. But we don't know what their priorities are. Like, I would have never guessed that Eve was going to come out with a third generation of the Eve Aqua heading into the fall before they came out with the Flare. Where is the Flare?
Where's the
light
Flare?
switch? These seems like they would have been higher on the priority list.
Yeah,
but,
there were some issues with that first the second Aqara and the first Aqara though. So I guess they kind of, felt like they needed to fix those. But yes, that was a bit of a surprise. I was like, didn't we just get a new one of these? Not that long ago. But yeah, it's the Bluetooth light switch is definitely something you want to upgrade. So if you have Bluetooth light switches, then this Thread Wemo dimmer will be a significant upgrade, because I think with Bluetooth, you actually sometimes, unless you have a HomePod in your bathroom or something, you're gonna have to have your phone in there for it to actually work, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Not good.
Fortunately, there's one within it's the span of 2 rooms away, but my HomePod or my Apple TV, but they're pretty equidistant. But one of them is able to trip that switch, so it works just fine. Like, that one actually controls our porch lights. So as I pull up to the house, or get in that radius of my home, it'll turn on the porch lights for us if it's after sundown. And we haven't had any problems automating that one. So it's worked very reliably. So I'm almost hesitant to swap it out for a Thread one just for the sake of change. But yeah, I just like having another Thread router running around just to bolster that network a little bit more.
Well, speaking of the HomePod, so I noticed something funny the other day, and I'm sure you already noticed this, but let me know what your thoughts are. Siri's changed on the HomePod. When you ask, I've got one right here, so I don't want it to go off.
It's listening to you.
It's listening. Instead of the little ding or bum, it goes, uh-huh. It's really creeping me out. It's like, oh my God, there's someone in my room. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And I was like,
it's a little weird.
And it had used to say that before, like sometimes I noticed, but now that's like the default I'm listening response. And it's just a little creepy. I preferred the little da-da. I don't know. I haven't dove into settings to see if I can change it. But yeah. And I also noticed that the Find My sound has changed. This is all in, so I'm running the betas. And the Find My is all now like ding, 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 instead of dun, dun. I'm not good. I'm not musical. I'm not musical. Oh my God, I didn't I?
Told you I'd make you sing by the end of it.
So anyway, I thought that was interesting because it's like having it's much more anthropomorphic now than it was before, which I'm not sure how I feel. How do you feel? Had you noticed this?
I did, but didn't. Not really. Because I don't usually like pause after I summon Siri. I'll just be like, yo Siri, do this. And then it'll come back with, on it, your door lock didn't respond because I still have an August connected, though I'm not using it any longer. But yeah, I kind of had noticed a little bit because it'll happen when we're watching TV, like the very, 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 very few times that it like thinks it heard its name on TV and it's like, uh-huh. I'm like, who's in the kitchen?
Okay,
what's going on? It's just you, Siri. We're not talking to you. Or it'll be like, I don't recognize who's speaking. Who is this? I'm like, a TV character, not us. But yeah.
Yeah, we'll have to see about that one. It's a bit weird.
Yeah. With the Matter thing on the Switch, there's only one situation I think that I can think of where it would matter for HomeKit users. And that's because in the Matter V1 spec, there is support for display controllers, control displays, whatever you want to call them, but something like the Nest Home Hub or whatever. And that will be able to control any of your HomeKit devices that are in Matter. But it would only control like the Matter devices. So if you were like, oh yeah, I'm going to buy HomeKit devices exclusive to HomeKit, but I want to be able to use like the smart display, those smart displays will still only control the HomeKit devices that are in Matter, which wouldn't be this Switch. Because I would love to put one of those smart displays in. I think they're so awesome. I love the look of them, the functionality, but they can't control my things. And this wouldn't be supported in that.
Which one would you go for then? If you could use a different voice assistant and smart display, which of the ones that are currently out there would you choose?
I don't know if I think I would have to go, if I was doing another assistant, it would have to be Google. I think it just knows more. The being able to ask super weird questions and stuff like that would be more useful, and like finding knowledge. That's, I think, the Siri's weakest part of its setup. And for whatever reason, maybe it's just marketing, I, for some reason, trust Google slightly more than I trust Amazon with my personal data. So if I was like, I'd lean slightly towards them, but I would probably just turn off Google Assistant and just use it for the smart display. And I like the Nest products.
Mean like
I still like them.
You'd use it to like actually use as a display rather than as a voice interaction.
Exactly. Like I would want to be able to like see music playing on it, which gets funky with the Apple Music stuff. But I like being able to see that. I like being able to control the smart home stuff, see pictures on there. I do still think it would be useful when you're talking to the assistant and being able to see like you're converting something. See the measurements on the screen. See the countdown on your timer, how much is exactly remaining. Stuff like that would be useful. But I don't really want to switch to another assistant. I don't like, some people have like multiple assistants in their house, probably you. And
I
I
even
couldn't
have
imagine
Bixby.
like, wait, which room am I in? Which room am I in? Which one do I, you have Bixby. No one uses Bixby. No one uses that. It's ridiculous.
I know, it's tough. And so the Google Smart Display is definitely more intuitive to use than the Amazon Smart Display when it comes to smart home controls. It's still not great though, because it's not a big screen and there's a lot of scrolling. Sorry, I just hit my microphone with my gesturing. And, you know, you kind of have to scroll to get to the one that you want. Both of them are very much more designed to be voice-first devices than touch devices. But you know what the solution is to your problem here, right?
What's that?
And hopefully, I mean, you know, we could speculate, but is a smart display from Apple. Then you wouldn't have to have a second. Then you wouldn't have to have another assistant in your house. So what do you think we're going to see? I mean, there's been rumors about the sort of kitchen smart display speaker from Apple, and then the Apple TV smart display speaker. What do you think? Do you think we're going to see that sometime this year, or, you know, is it something that, I know there's been a lot of desire for it, but that, you know, doesn't always translate into making Apple do those things.
It's also, I'm sure you experience this too. The smart home community, the HomeKit community, they're so vocal and engaged, right? So it may not be the biggest, you know, sector of the market, but they're very, you know, vocal and passionate about this stuff. So like, yeah, I hear it all the time that we want a smart display, but I don't know how much that carries beyond like the concentrated smart home space. And I don't know if that's gonna, like, looking at the big HomePod, you know, that was a failure for Apple and they discontinued it. So would a bigger HomePod that had a display in it be more appealing to people? Or does Apple just need a dedicated, larger smart speaker, or both, with one with a display, one without a display? I don't know. I want it to be a thing really bad. I think it would be really useful. I think Apple needs to do something like that. All of that, it seems like it should happen. And I think the biggest reason Apple would do it is because the competitors are doing it, and it doesn't want to look like it's so far behind. So if you're looking at, you know, the Amazon smart home, you're looking at the Google smart home, and they got these really cool displays, other manufacturers are making them, that market is growing. Apple, I feel like, eventually has to answer with something. Otherwise, people are going to be like, you get all those cool things in your smart home and we don't. So,
well, and
I don't know. I think it'll happen, but when?
Well, yeah, and with HomeKit Secure Video, you know, you've got this great system for looking after your home. You can see on your computer, or your TV, but you really need a sort of another place in your home to be able to do that. And an iPad is just not a good solution. You know, it's expensive, although, you know, may end up being expensive, a HomePod with a screen. But it's just not a good solution. I find I had an iPad in my wall and it didn't work the way I wanted it to. I know a lot of people do that. And I guess that would probably be Apple's argument. You know, we have an interface that you can use, but it's not set up to work well with controlling your smart home. I know there are ways you can make it do that, but we definitely need something more sort of tailored to the home as a controller. And I think with Matter, like you say, the pressure is there because other people who use HomeKit are going to be able to use other devices to do this. In theory, you should be able to use a Google Home Max or an Echo Show to control any device in your smart home if it's Matter compatible. And so Apple's going to want to get in on that for sure, I would have thought. So we'll see. I'd love to see them come up with something.
Yeah, I could see just a mishmash of like Apple TV plus CarPlay plus HomePod, and we end up with this smart home display device with a good speaker. That would be pretty useful to have around. And
probably very expensive.
Yeah, for sure. Easy 3 digits, mid 3 digits probably.
Yeah, I feel like people was very sad about that the big HomePod, the OG HomePod. I mean, you can find them on eBay for a ridiculous amount of money. So I feel like
I've still got mine here. I feel like I should be listing it on eBay. I don't use
Yeah.
it.
They may bring that back, with, because there were some issues and it needs the thread radio. So maybe we'll see a new one as well as one with a display. Maybe they'll go all in on HomeKit hardware, which is not something they've done ever really. We have two things, right? We have the TV and the mini. Yeah. And they need the
because
infrastructure.
they had the routers, which could have been great.
That
It could have been great, and they could have had HomeKit support right into the router. People would actually be able to use HomeKit routers, but no, we're left with third-party ones, and then Eero coming out with new routers, then saying definitely not HomeKit.
Yeah,
these ones do though. Like or Velop, who's like, here's our top of the line router with the latest Wi-Fi and the cool stuff, but not HomeKit. That's in our cheaper one because we sell more of them. Like your high-end one should have all the cool features, not your step-down models. I don't get it.
Do you have HomeKit router running?
I do, yeah. Right now I'm using I technically have two networks, but I'm using the Eero and the Velop one. The Velop one I don't think has HomeKit on it because it's the something. But the Eeros are still the 6 Pros, I think, that still have HomeKit on them. Because there's no point for me jumping to 6E because Apple's going to be 3 years late to that party. So I'm still sticking with the Wi-Fi 6 ones.
Yeah, I had to turn the HomeKit router functionality off when I tested the 6 Pros because it was messing up. I can't remember exactly what, but it was messing stuff up. How do you use it? Like, what is it? Just there? Are you just using it more for sort of security, peace of mind, or are you actually actively using the
pretty much just peace of mind. Obviously everything that's set up going forward is paired with that router, just making it more secure. If I'm testing something that's like sketch, like maybe a HomeKit company that I don't know and I want to be cautious, I can apply more security to those devices to limit what they can do. Like I'm definitely not using the third-party access for this. I'm just going to go ahead and make sure this is limited to just local calls and stick with that. But really it's just there as that extra layer of security for the smart home. I feel like it's that one of the few things that you really want to make sure is locked down and you don't have any just bad security practices with that.
Yeah. No, it is important, and it's tricky for the regular consumer to manage. So it's nice to have something that you feel comfortable with. It's so troubleshooting smart home stuff can be, as I'm sure you know. So always toggling stuff off. I just love the way that whenever I have a problem with a HomeKit device, if I turn my phone off and back on again, 9 times out of 10 that'll fix the problem. I'm like, why? But anyway,
right? It's not your home hub. It shouldn't be doing that. But no. If we're all running the betas, who knows anymore?
I know. I actually had to go one day. My phone just stopped working, like no reason, just stopped. And I was right near an Apple store, so I went in and I said, I know there's probably like a 7-hour wait, but could you just? And he looked at it. He's like, oh yeah, you're running the beta. What did you expect? I was like, But yeah, it started to heat up. I was worried it was going to like explode on me. And he's like, yeah, there's just too much going on. I said, and this is incomplete software. So basically shame on you. Yeah. But hopefully, I've been having all sorts of weird stuff happening with the beta right now. So I'm looking forward to the real thing coming out soon, so I can go back to normal. I don't normally like running them,
because Apple's
but I had
event
to try.
Is real.
I know, September 7th. So what is that like? That's a week from
right.
tomorrow on the day this will be released, correct?
I think something like.
Oh no, it's a Wednesday.
That.
So
Wednesday.
Yeah. So next Wednesday. That's exciting. Probably not a lot of HomePod stuff or HomeKit stuff. Do you think? What are you expecting?
I don't think so. I think
it's the phone
AirPods.
thing, isn't it? You think some AirPods?
Phone, watch, AirPods. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that's what I'm leaning with right now. I don't know when HomePods will come. They're rumored, like a new mini with minor changes and a new big one at some point. But I don't know when that would be announced or what that pairs well with. Phone and watch or tablet and computer. I don't know.
Well, and I reckon it'll be tied. Well, I thought there's a chance we might get something next week because of the Home app in iOS 16. There may be some small upgrade or small bump, but then with the iPad OS not updating at the same time, that's going to be kind of a bit of an issue for HomeKit users. You're going to have 2 interfaces. You'll have a different,
Yeah.
you'll have the
Yeah.
new home app on your phone and you'll have the old home app on your iPad, which will be, that's an odd move by Apple. We'll see how that goes down. But yeah, I'm hoping we might get, if there are some HomePod mini refreshes, it might be the kind of thing that we just, see on, they won't necessarily do it on stage, but there may be some updated details later telling us, we now have this new model or this new version of the HomePod mini. I mean, the HomePod mini's had a few issues. So it needs a little bit of a refresh. So I'm hopeful we'll get some HomeKit news. But I feel like every Apple event we're getting more. It used to be like we would just be a small footnote, and every Apple event, because Matter is they're really all in on Matter. So I think that will probably tie to if we get a new HomePod. Like they've said fall. What is it that Stephen likes to say? Believe it if I'll see it. Matter. Believe it if I see it.
Matter.
Believe it when I see it.
Believe it when I see it.
Okay. And that is supposed to be fall. So what is fall? How long do they have? Is that like December? When does the clock run out? Because I think October we normally get another Apple event. So that could be a time for some kind of new HomeKit hardware to tie in with Matter.
Fall is September 23rd through Wednesday, December 21st. That is fall. It'll be here a week before Christmas. 4 days before Christmas, and Matter will be on schedule.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that wouldn't be good. All those Christmas presents. You don't want stuff under the tree without Matter.
I know, that's gonna be confusing. And then going back with the iPad, if anyone remembers that asterisk that came alongside the home updates, is that you're going to have all this new faster responsiveness with your home, but every device must be updated, it said, to iOS 16, iPadOS 16, tvOS 16, HomePod update 16. So without your iPad, you're not going to get that faster home experience until October. So that's going to be funky.
Yeah. But yeah, I think you're right though. October I think that's going to be that'll be the time for the home stuff. Because I'm not expecting to see Matter in September. I definitely think we're more likely October, November.
Yeah. Plus then if Apple did come in with HomePod, like that's something that it can tout alongside Matter. It's like, yes, full Matter support. And here's a new speaker that'll work for all of you other people who weren't using HomeKit before. All of you Android users and Google users who want to be able to use, a HomePod. Now you can, because there's Matter support, and it'll control all of your Matter stuff. So could be a new benefit, a new market for them to try to tie into a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that's what they're seeing this as a way of really getting a lot more people onto the HomeKit bandwagon. Actually, it's not HomeKit anymore, is it? I've noticed this. You pointed that out. Yeah, Apple Home. And I've seen only one device with that logo on. But it makes sense. Apple HomeKit was never a very elegant naming convention, because it's a developer thing, isn't it? It's the kit.
Yeah, it's their developer SDK. API. Yeah.
So Apple Home has a nicer ring. Are you going to have to rename your podcast?
I'm already struggling in writing. I don't know how you are dealing with this in your writing, if you transitioned all of your stuff to say Apple Home.
Because no one knows it yet.
Exactly. But also for, thinking SEO purposes and searchability in the future, in a year, if Apple Home is the de facto brand standard for it, and people search for Apple Home, like none of my stuff's going to show up or be relevant because it's just all using the HomeKit. So I'm trying in recent pieces to make sure I mention HomeKit, but we'll say this works with Apple Home and stuff like that. Trying to get both of them in there at least so that we're starting that migration. It's going to be messy. It's been years of HomeKit. I definitely don't know what to do with our podcast, but
no. There was no official this is now called Apple Home. Just like I remember when Google did that, they're like, we're now calling everything Google Home. But I feel like you've been doing that for 3 years. But anyway, we never got that announcement. It was just on the box.
I know. And
what does it say on that one?
That just came out. Oh, well, first it says HomeKit, but in 2 languages, which is also a rarity. 2 different languages of the HomeKit badge, but brand new and still has the old badge on it.
Yeah, we may be ahead of the curve here.
I think that thread, the box somewhere, that thread enabled air purifier that we talked about that HomeKit Insider listeners can get that at discount still, I believe, last week. Check the show notes. But yeah, that Purell, not the Purell brand, but it's called like the Purell or Purifier or something. It supports Thread, and it has that Apple Home badge on it.
Oh, so it does. Okay, so that's number 2.
That's 2, and the Eve one, right?
Yeah, the Eve.
Yes.
Motion sensor had Apple Home on it.
I think so. Yeah.
I like
Maybe
Apple
the Eve
Home
Aqua
though.
Too. I don't remember.
Did it? Yeah, I haven't unpacked that
probably
yet.
through the box away. Yeah. Now I'm searching to find out if my Eve Aqua review had
a picture of the box.
Yes. I think I threw one there at the end.
It definitely makes sense that they're doing this. I think it's a more consumer friendly, and also it's Apple Home as opposed to HomeKit, because that's it makes the branding a little clearer. And when Matter comes, branding is going to be kind of crucial for all these millions of people that are going to suddenly join the smart home once Matter gets here, which is what the promise has been.
Oh, okay. Well, do we have anything else we want to touch on?
Did I lose
we have filled up nearly an hour here.
Sorry, you froze.
I am still here, though.
You're still there. Yay.
If you can hear me. I am. Yes. Anyway, we have filled up nearly an hour, and I know we even in our 20-minute discussion beforehand, we were like, okay, it's been 56 minutes of recording. 56 minutes. And
I know
our 20-minute conversation beforehand.
I know.
Yeah, we're going to touch on chickens more and babies.
I know, and babies. Well, I just did a whole piece on how to use your smart home to help with your kids, and I believe that could be very useful to you shortly. Although It was more for older children, so maybe in about 10 years. But I'm excited to hear more about your HomeKit nursery once you get all that stuff up and running, because that's a space I haven't really gotten to play in because my kids were born pre-smart home. So I didn't get to do any of that fun stuff.
This is the time. We're coming in with, the little one will be arriving the beginning of October. So September is going to be it's going to be a stupid month. We'll just say that. We're going to have iPhone stuff coming out of ears. We're going to have, babies arriving after September. And it's going to be just a sprint to get everything done.
Black Friday.
In that month. So you're just trying to make things.
Blood pressure.
Yep. It's going to be a busy
Matter.
time.
New HomePods.
Matter. Yep.
Lots of new devices to test. So many. Because everyone's going to come out with something new in the next. And then IFA is next week. If I don't know how much of your your audience tunes into that, but I think there's quite a few Europeans that listen in. So I think there'll be a fair amount of interesting news around the smart home space at IFA next week. So, and Eve is a European company, so I'm hoping we'll hear something from them. So lots of new products to look forward to and lots of new stuff to test.
Oh yeah, everyone can just stop asking Jennifer, Steven, and I to do stuff because we're going to be busy through the rest of the year. I'm pretty sure
it'll be fun.
Then CES. Then it's CES already.
Oh yes, gosh! And I should put in a plug. I'm going to CEDIA this year, which I'm excited about. I've never been, which is the sort of the custom smart home, not the DIY smart home space. I'm doing a panel on Matter. I'm going to be talking to some of the key players there. So that's at the end of next month, so end of September. And you always see some fun stuff at CEDIA, sort of stuff that will kind of trickle down to the DIY smart home. So yes, it is officially the busy season. Because summer was so quiet.
Yeah. Slow, quiet, luxurious by comparison.
Wonderful. Well, it's been great getting to chat with you. And I'm sorry I tried to sing.
Everybody loved it. Everyone leave Jennifer a 5-star singing review on Apple Podcasts. Well, thank you again to everybody for listening, watching. Jennifer, where do you want to send people?
Well, you want to see anything that I've written, just go to theverge.com and also follow me on Twitter at JP2E. And you'll be able to catch all my coverage. Hopefully have that SwitchBot door lock review there if you want to find out more about that. And I also just recently reviewed the Hue Tap Dial, which I did not recommend for HomeKit users, but it is a cool device. So go check out that review at theverge.com.
Awesome. I know we didn't even get to talk about
We didn't
that.
talk about
There's
it.
so much things. It's going to be a 2-parter episode.
I know.
I'm just kidding. We have stuff to do.
I
Thank
do.
you everybody for joining us. 5 stars on all the podcast platforms. Find us on YouTube at youtube.com/HomeKit.
What happened?
Right there, my camera battery died. Oh my gosh! If that'll make it into the video, folks. Yeah, I'm trying to say our so long and farewells, and my video dies, and Jennifer's just left here dying. Like,
what's going on?
is it done?
I should have done the singing bit.
You should have just done it, just sang it, and just tapped out, and just went off frame. It would have been perfect. Oh, anyway, try it one more time. Thank you to everybody for watching and listening. Leave us 5-star reviews everywhere you listen to your podcast. Find us on YouTube, youtube.com/HomeKit Insider, and we'll catch you guys in the next episode.
Bye.
Thanks again, Jennifer.